So let's go here. Let's start with a little NFL. Rob G, can you set the table? Make sure there's a fork, a knife, a spoon, and a cup.
Are you going to leave him a tip?
On the right side. Where does the fork go, Rob G? What side of the table? Do you know?
On the left.
And where does the knife go? Don't look it up.
Isn't it the left?
Where does the spoon go?
Rob G,
right.
Okay.
I'm not going to lie, Rob G. You just say it with confidence, we'll both believe you because we don't actually know.
We don't know, but I'm just asking. I think you're right, though. I think the fork and the knife go on the left. Okay. Set the table about Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, so this is a big story to drop here on Thursday morning in the East Coast. Seth Wickersham, one of the great investigative reporters and authors of this generation. He's gotten deep dives on the Patriots, as you know. Had a big bombshell on the Pete Carroll's and the Seahawks with Russell Wilson. While his latest one, he's got a book coming out focusing on the, quote, American Kings, a biography of the quarterback. Focuses on a series of quarterbacks and their histories and what's going on behind closed doors. One of the excerpts that's getting a lot of attention today involves Caleb Williams, the franchise quarterback of the Chicago Bears. According to Wickersham, and the best part is he's got quotes on the record from both Caleb Williams and his father. But according to Wickersham, Caleb was so concerned about being picked by the Bears first overall that he and his family weighed circumventing the entire NFL draft, consulting with lawyers to figure out a way around the leased CBA, and also included the idea of skipping the draft altogether and signing with the UFL instead. According to Wickersham, Caleb really wanted to play for the Minnesota Vikings, didn't want to play for the Bears, didn't think that that was the franchise that would get his career in the right trajectory. And according to Wickersham in this book, one of the big reasons why they even attempted to do this, which obviously they didn't, was because Caleb Williams, his dad Carl, and everybody else in their camp have a fundamental distaste for the NFL draft process, the rookie wage scale, so on and so forth.
The only thing I want to say, Kelvin, I'll let you go first.
Okay.
Is as I agree, the rookie wage scale is a sham, and the players sold the other players up the river. That I agree with them.
Yeah, I mean, you can add that to the list of a couple things I can understand. The pay scale, it's one of those few things in life where I thought it was a meritocracy. I thought it was, capitalistic society.
Capitalism.
Hey, if somebody,
for everybody else is capitalism. I agree. Yep. And the players were dumb enough to, and I say that with all seriousness. Any player, the NBA did it too, to the rookies and the 1 year and all that. Like they were sold this whole idea. It's not fair that you're going to pay these guys who haven't played one down.
If I'm worth it, I'm worth it.
Yes, and if you don't think they're worth it, don't pay them.
I don't know where people get this. Well, I mean, people are drafting these high school. Don't draft them. Well, I don't want to pay a rookie. Then he ain't that guy. Or offer him what you believe.
Like, what did the Dallas Mavericks just do? They said that we're not going to pay him.
Right.
I don't care what it is. The Supermax is $350. We're not paying him. What did the Sacramento Kings do?
DeMarcus Cousins, get on the
fire here.
We're
not paying him.
It happens. You don't have to do this. But so that part of it, I'll say this. I completely understand. So I think the challenge to me is when I can see why Caleb and his father, and if you don't know anything about them, they've been at this since he was a literal kid. If you kind of know the history of him and his father, they have mapped this entire thing out. This isn't, he just happened to be good at football and gee golly shucks, how did we get here? They have mapped this out professionally, even while he was in high school, even while he was in college. The reason why they go to USC, the reason why they stay another year at time, like they have mapped this thing out literally to the teams and the way that he's done his NIL. They have everything measured. They don't want certain money. They don't want certain companies. They want equity. They don't want companies they don't believe in. So I had to do some things for them with this LA Times Today show that I do, and they are really about this. Now, I go there to say this. Because I mentioned how into this they are, how orchestrated this is, I can see why this is then frustrating if we've been orchestrating this since Pee Wee football and now things are already predestined. And the reason why I can understand why that would be frustrating, Rob, is because it's the only profession where if you're literally the best at what you do, you don't have a choice or say in your destiny. And what I mean by that is if you are coming out of med school and you're projected to be the best doctor, well, you have the pick of the litter. What hospital do I want to work at? If you are coming out of law school and you have the pick of the litter of which law firm do you want to go to, this is the one time in life where profession, you're the best of the best, you're a Heisman winner, and this one team who clearly was bad has landed you. And now your destiny, at least part of it, is in their hands. And that I can understand will be frustrating for someone who has orchestrated and put everything into their life and career to get to this point where, well, I have to go here. What if where you're going is not about business and not about the business of winning? We sometimes forget some teams are A-okay making money. Hey, we try to win a little bit, but hey, we ain't going this far. We're not going to do all of this. We're not going to buy into the system. We're going to try to win a little bit, but if it don't work, we made 50. We made $100 million just by being a team in the NFL this year. And your legacy can also be tied to a bad team. And you go to a team for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, and they're a team that doesn't want to win, team that doesn't want to be about resources. And now we look at you as a less than quarterback. You're not that great. You were okay, or you were mid. And last point I'll make too is, Rob, the Chicago Bears are one of two teams in the entire NFL who have what? Never had a quarterback who has thrown for over 4,000 yards, right? So I can see why you'd be worried going into that. This team has not been great offensively and specifically with quarterbacks. The other team, you know who that is? The Jets, who have also struggled over the years. And I can see why a team and a father would be concerned with that. So the draft process is the draft process. It is what it is. But apprehension, concern, and wanted to maybe try to do something different, I can see why the Williamses would want to do that.
Well, they talk a big game. If they didn't want to do that, he shouldn't have gone to the draft. Okay? That's the only way you break that. So I think it's total BS and poppycock. Don't take your name out of the draft. Refuse to go if you want to revolt against the draft. That's the only way you break it. It's a part of the collective bargaining agreement. And the other part is, which is a cop-out and BS, is that you're talking about doctors and lawyers. I'm the top of my class. I can go wherever I want. Where's the competition factor? The reason that the best players are going to the worst teams is because we don't want a repeat of what we saw in the 50s and 60s when the Yankees, the Green Bay Packers, the Montreal Canadiens, and the Boston Celtics won every year. That's not what we want, where the good teams keep getting the good players and nobody else can compete. That's why the leagues, when some of the great teams of those eras, they didn't sell out. Go look at what the attendances were. When the Celtics won all those championships, guess what? Their attendance went down. People saw it already. There was no competition. Go look it up. They didn't sell out every night, and they didn't. You would think winning all those championships, it would be a packed house. You need competition. That's the only reason why I believe in the draft system, because good players can turn the fortunes around, and that's what you want in a competitive league. If you're a doctor, you're not competing against other doctors. If you're a lawyer, there's no competition. But when you're in a league, just like people tried to talk Joe Burrow out of going to Cincinnati, and guess what he did? Instead of being a part of the problem, he became a part of the solution. And on his talent, even though they didn't win the Super Bowl, his talent went to the next level. And you look at Joe Burrow differently than other quarterbacks because the Bengals hadn't been able to get there. They had been 0-7 in their previous 7 playoff games. He shows up in year 2 after being hurt in year 1. And what does he do? Takes them to the Super Bowl. That's what you can get as a young player. And you can't manipulate going to a good team. Is going to a good team to go into the Cowboys 12-3, 12-4, 12-5, like 3 years in a row or whatever they were, and they haven't won up them into the NFC Championship game. They won 12 games, right? The Packers win 12 games, 11 games every year. They haven't been since 2010. The Steelers are a good organization. They haven't gone. So how do you pick? You can't pick. And you could try to finagle and figure it out. That's why I think it's BS. If they were really serious about this, and I'm not mad at them if they really want to take the challenge and break the draft. But the only way you do that is when the top pick and the top picks refuse to go along with it. Just that's how you get things done.
Right.
You could talk until you're blue in the face, but they took the money. and they took the draft status, and they walked across the stage. So to me, it's just talk because it can be broken, but you got to be willing. In order to make real change in the world, you have to have a sacrifice. And if people aren't willing to sacrifice, that's why things stay the same. It's that simple.
But I don't disagree with that. But I think that what we're reading is simply the thought process that went into their decisions. And I, again, completely can understand why they would consider these things. So a lot of what you said is like if you're going to the Steelers, I don't think this was about where to cherry pick where I can go and specifically, I want to go to some already great team. I want to back up Patrick Mahomes or something. I think this was about where one of the only teams I don't want to go to that has had a bad history.
What could he have done about it? If he didn't want to go there, what could he have done?
I mean, well, he could have done if he was in a situation
not
like
take the money and not go to the bench.
Well, I was gonna say,
he could have done that.
Or like a Kyler Murray, guy who played baseball. You know, John Elway, I have this other option. I'll go play baseball. Archie Manning was in there finagling for Eli so that he wouldn't have to go play for the Chargers, I believe it was at that time. So my point is I can see why they would consider it. Not that they had to do it, but why it would be a big deal behind the scenes of, I don't want my son to go somewhere that has been horrible.
I think it's BS to just talk about it. That's how you become a legend, when you turn other teams around. Not going. Kevin Durant doesn't get the credit that he deserves because he went to a team that won, even though he was the finals MVP, right? And he doesn't get the credit. So going to a team that's already in place or whatever, that's not going to get you what you're looking for. The glory is to go to Chicago.
I don't agree at all. I don't agree at all. Put me in a stable situation that has shown the formula to succeed so we can continue to do that. If I've had an organization that's been around since like 1905 and you've never had a quarterback throw for 4,000 yards in an air.
So that stopped the players that wanted to go to the Chicago Cubs when they finally won a championship. What did that have to do with them? They were good. And guess what they did? They won a championship. Or the Red Sox that went 83 years without winning a championship. And guess what those players who showed up did? They won. I mean, come on. That's
Nobody said. No, you don't have to. You're not the single person who has to do that. If I'm going to an organization that has failed and my legacy is tied to that, I can see why there would be apprehension. Absolutely, especially when you're the best at what you do. I completely see that.
Not at all.